I'm Darkside, this is GetDarkerTV. We're in St James's Park. We're going to catch up with Kenzo. Thanks for taking the time to come see us.
No problem.
It's about time. I had this scheduled in for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, it's all good though.
It is all good. We've finally done it, and obviously you made the trip up from Kent into central London. So extra pops and brownie points for that, mate. Making the effort.
Mate, no worries.
You're not no newcomer to what we call dubstep. You've been around for a long while now, mate.
Yeah,
almost as a veteran like me now.
Yeah. It's surprising how long I've been about, but kind of like how quick the years go. Really, you know, when you start doing something and you do it as like I suppose as a hobby to start with, and how it's kind of progressed. But yeah, it's been really good. The last few years have been really positive. So just trying to push that, keep it pushing in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think you've had releases dating back from 2008. On some very well respected labels. Argon, Dub Police, a very, very big release recently, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But I think the last year for you as well has flown by, hasn't it?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, it's really like taken me by surprise. Really, how people have picked up on the music. It's I'm just like smiling all the time. It's really, I'm really happy, and it's something that I've been kind of fighting for a long time. So all positive.
Yeah, and obviously when you had the release out on Dub Police, going back a while now. Have you changed your sound or your approach to music since that release? Because there's obviously the whole dubstep is diverse in many different angles now.
Yeah. And
you've chosen your path, and I think you've mastered that path now. And we'll talk in detail about it now. But since the Dub Police release, has that encouraged you to change or adapt in any other way?
It's encouraged me to kind of make what I want to make, and not be scared about making the music that I want to kind of play out and push. Because the scene is like, when I was writing a couple of years ago, it was very much the more kind of I wouldn't say dance floor, but the noisier kind of stuff was coming through, and that was really popular. And as an artist, you feel that you have to kind of cater to show that you can do all round, really. And I suppose production-wise, but if you go back to like stuff I was doing 2007, 2008, it's pretty much similar now, but with a new kind of, I suppose, a future edge on it. I'd say it's very, I think it's up to date anyway, and it goes with the current sounds, but still kind of gives a nod to the older stuff anyway.
It does, and I think it's up to date, but I think it's also setting the path of where I feel this music's going. I think that's why your last years, or your last 12 or 18 months, I think have gone so quick and so big so quickly. We've got radio shows we're going to talk about. You've been playing up, appearances at Forward. The recent release on Tempa. I mean, that speaks something in itself. And I think that's the way it's. Some of the music that you're making, I think, is giving, in my opinion, a lot of dubstep. It's future-proof. It's giving it an avenue going forward, because, like you say, a lot of it was dance floor. It was great. It was entertaining. Yeah. But it become very repetitive. And I think you're changing the scale up now. But obviously, you've also had other releases such as Second Drop. Things like that, which are slightly different.
Definitely.
And then obviously on Russell's label as well. Like the funky house. You've shown your diversity, but. Where do you feel you're going in the next year? What's your path?
It's definitely dubstep all the way. Like the kind of the alias and the offshoot projects that I do, it's really being a producer and just kind of like experimenting with different things. And if people like them, want to hear them more and want to buy them as well, then I'll keep doing them. But for me, it's kind of like dubstep is what I do, and that's what I'm about. So. When you see the name Kenzo, I suppose that's me. And if you're into my music, you know what I'm all about, and listen to my mixes, then you know what I do. So And then
a question to try and catch you off guard on this one.
Yeah, cool.
Up until say the last year, was you ever tempted to make that kind of noisier?
I did, yeah. I made there's plenty of tracks that I've made that are on that tip that I sent around to all the bigger DJs to kind of get their ear on it and what they thought. But for me, it wasn't really. It was pretty much I'd get a track up and I'd write it, and it'd be very quick of doing it, and it wasn't really me putting my heart and soul into it. And I'd make the deeper tracks, and they'd still be dance floor, but because it wasn't that popular at that time, people weren't and I didn't have the access to the right DJs, I suppose, at that point in time as well. that were pushing that sound, it was a bit more harder for me to kind of come through with that, you know, and actually represent what I'm about and why I got into dubstep in the first place.
And why did you get into dubstep in the first place?
Because it reminded me of jungle and garage as well, you know. And like I was, you know, I was only 14, 94. I was 14, and I was listening to jungle and wishing I could be at all the raves and AWOL and, you know, Dreamscape, Helter Skelter, World Dance. I never got to experience them, but like when I heard dubstep like in 2005, it just had that kind of, that same kind of vibe. And I know a lot of people have said it, but for me it was exactly that. And I was like, I love dub music, I love reggae, I love roots, you know what I mean? So it kind of fused the whole, everything together, you know, along with the garage kind of side of things as well.
For being around in the dubstep scene for a long time, you know, we've seen each other at the raves for years and things like that. But over the last sort of year or so, you've appeared on, I guess, someone's radio show. I use the word someone because it's someone that I know you've got equal amount of respect as I have for this guy. And to get invited up and play on his radio show, bearing in mind he's probably one of the most fussiest people to invite on his radio show. You've been up with Youngsta on Rinse. I mean, how did that phone call come about?
I don't know, it was kind of like, he invited me up to do a guest mix for the show after obviously the Tempa release that was forthcoming actually, and he invited me to come on there and just kind of show what I was about. And when I was on there, you know, he gave me like the second hour to play my stuff, and he was noticing that, you know, he watches everything you do when you mix, how you mix, where the headphone level is, where your levels are on the channels, if you're pushing it too hard, you know, every little thing that you think of as a DJ, like I do, because I'm a DJ first. He was exactly the same. So he said, next show, come play a back-to-back, and then we did, and then it just went from there. We just, you know, just kind of fused really well. So, yeah.
That is exciting. And obviously you mentioned the Tempa release. I mean, that's, for anyone that is watching this that don't know who Tempa is, you know, well, there's a question mark in itself. If not it's definitely one of the the biggest backbone of dubstep music. You know, that's an out-and-out fact. To get invited to have a release on Tempa.
It's all down to Mr. Youngsta again, you know what I mean? He's, you know, the track, the Rotex track. I don't know, I got the link up with Youngsta through DJ Mads. So he kind of gave me the link up with Youngsta, and he said, just send him tunes, you know what I mean, and whatever you've got, you know, that you're working on, because I think he'll feel it. And exactly that, I was sending him through music, and he was like, yeah, this is, you know, really good, it's really different. And it just kind of boosted from there, really. So it's kind of like, yeah, amazing. And then I think he pushed really hard to get it through Tempa, because I am relatively, you know, an unknown name really in dubstep, even though I've been here for a little while now. You know, it's kind of like whether they take the chance with somebody who's kind of like, you know, unknown, but they have, and hopefully it's paid off. And yeah, it's just amazing to have a release on a label that is well respected like that, you know. Now
the Rotex track's come out on Tempa. Has there been any discussions on a next step with Tempa? Yeah.
Well, they really want to kind of, you know, push my material. I think it's like obviously Youngsta. He's really feeling what I'm doing, and he's pushing it through to the heads at Tempa, which are liking the sound at the moment. So yeah, there's future releases definitely planned. So they'll be forthcoming. I think they've got one out that's going to be forthcoming before the end of the year. So that'll be out, you know, pretty soon. And then you know, future projects as well.
And that one of those tracks that's coming out before the end of the year, don't begin with an R, does it?
Rough House, yeah, Rough House, represented with Mr. Aslan on that as well.
So that track itself, right? I've got to ask you, without discrediting the tune at all, because I'm a big fan of that, you know I am, but that simple, in fact you do it, Rough House.
Rough House, Rough House.
Rotex is out, Rough House is on its way. I mean, can you give us any hints on what's going to come next with Tempa, or is that well under wraps?
Well, I've got the Rough House thing, which will be out next, and that's got a tune called Therapy on the B-side, which has been getting quite a bit of love, which is good. That's a little bit different to what Rough House is about. It's a little bit more techie. It's been getting a lot of love as well, a lot of support from different DJs. So yeah, I think that would be a nice little 12 when that comes out. And there is a future project that I'm working on for Tempa, but you know, it's all under wraps at the moment. But when the time's right, everything will be revealed.
And you'll tell us, yeah?
Yeah, of course, definitely. No, Get Darker will be one of the first to know, without a doubt. You know.
Hold you to that.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries.
There's a a very special hour that goes on air.
Yeah.
On BBC One Extra. Very different to some of the other daily doses of dubstep.
Yeah.
But in my personal opinion, probably the most interesting.
Okay.
The Kenzo Daily Dose of Dubstep.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. How did that come around?
It's through Deco, the others actually. He gave me the recommendation because he finished his kind of stint on there, and Mr. Jam asked him who's coming through, who should I be looking out for, and it's just like the right timing because Road 6 had just dropped as well. And yeah, Mr. Jam hit me up. He said, "Oh, can I, have the Road 6 release?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, man, definitely. Like any support like that would be wicked,
Yeah.
And he said, "How about you doing like an hour mix for the Daily Dose of Dubstep?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be amazing." You know what I mean? Well up for that. And I really wanted kind of to represent what I'm doing at the moment, because I think for the BBC, well, BBC is massive, you know what I mean, of course, but to be representing what I'm about and what my influences from different artists over the years as well, because I do dig a little bit deeper as well into the crates and bring back a few kind of like tracks that people may not have heard of or may have missed a few years back, but it's all about what I do and what I represent when I play out live as well, so you get a mixture of everything. But yeah, it's just been really good to kind of expose what I'm about, and what the sound that I'm pushing, so.
And then, obviously, over the years, we bumped into each other shoulder to shoulder at Forward.
Yeah.
Purely as both hunters.
Yeah.
And quite reasonably recently, you played.
Yeah.
I mean, now, I suppose when you're in that crowd, you always look at the decks thinking one day I'll be on there. I mean, how did it feel being a regular at Forward as for your own personal benefit, and listening pleasure, to take controls at Forward at Classic Fit?
Nervous, very nervous. That first set I'd done, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how people would react to it, but very nervous because you see so many, when you're looking up at the decks and you see so many kind of amazing names that have been there and played on this system, and it's it's quite a compact, small club, but it's just legendary. And to be invited to play a set, that was just kind of blew my mind really. I was like, wow, I'm playing it Forward, you know what I mean? And to step up there, I was really nervous, but once I settled into it, like I can remember DJ Crises, he was right at the front. He was like in every mix as I was. I can remember it so well. But yeah, it was really good, man. A really good experience, and I just hope I can have more experiences like that because I love DJing, and yeah, to play at a place like that, it's just amazing,
No, without doubt.
Yeah.
And then I suppose to recap, the last sort of 9 months, maybe even a year for you has been massive. BBC One Extra show, release out on Tempa with future releases scheduled in, playing at Forward, being on Youngsta's show, playing back to back with Youngsta, not just doing an hour mix, no, back to back. I mean, so I think successful year is probably an understatement, but
yeah.
I mean, what's your plans for 2012?
Keep going the same direction. I want to still keep making quality music. Hopefully, I can build up the fan base, get more people kind of interested in what I'm about, and just keep giving people good music.